The miller must check the millstones every 6 months. The flour quality obtained during milling depends on the rugged condition of the edges and the grooves of the stone. After assembling the hopper, the mill is ready to grind the grain. Before grinding the wheat to make bread, the miller passes it through the cleaner. A fan located in the drawer at the top produces the necessary air to separate the dust and the lighter dirt. When the grain is clean, the miller pours it into the hopper and starts the water that activates the entire milling system. The grain from the hopper falls in measured amounts between the two stones due to the vibration transmitted by the shaft grooves. When the wheat is between them, it has a tendency to come out through the edges, but the movement of the top stone crushes it and turns it into flour, which in turn is crushed by the grooves. The ground flour is expelled through the end of the edges and it is collected in the drawer. A small device with a bell alerts the miller when the grain remaining in the hopper is about to finish. When the grain in the hopper is finished, the milling system stops. The flour is now ready to make bread, but first it must be sifted through the sieve or sifter to separate the bran. Victor takes the flour to the sifter, which also operates with the power of water. The resulting product of the milling falls into a large horizontal container formed by a dense mesh that only allows the fine flour to come out, thus separating the bran. The two resulting products are separated inside and pass through auger screws into two different bags. The flour will be used to make bread and the bran as animal feed. This family of millers, as they've been doing their whole lives, grinds their own wheat every week to make bread that they will need for the whole week. Conce takes care of this task in a small oven and starts by heating the water she needs to prepare the dough. Moving the sieve over two boards, Conce sifts the flour onto the kneading trough and separates the bran to use it as feed for the pigs.
Now we are going to add the yeast, which is a piece of dough left from the previous time, which is called sourdough. And then, the day before making the bread, it needs to be enlarged. I'm going to collect water to dissolve salt in it.
To better distribute the salt in the dough, Conce puts it in a container with hot water to dissolve it.
Come on, let's see. The yeast dissolves. Pour it in hard, 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 pour it hard. Let the water go through the strainer and get more.
It's time to knead. The yeast is already in the trough and it needs to be mixed with the flour. While her daughter slowly pours the hot water with dissolved salt, Conce vigorously mixes the dough of flour, yeast, salt and water, giving it the precise texture so it doesn't stick. This task requires strength in the arms, as the hose is very heavy and hard to work with, until all the ingredients are well combined. Now she'll have to let the dough rest for about 3 hours, well covered with the dough troughs so the yeast ferments. While the dough increases in size due to the action of the yeast, during this waiting time, the oven will reach the ideal temperature for baking.
The oven should turn white. Now you turn it on and it goes completely black. And when it's hot, the oven should be completely white.
To increase the temperature, Conce keeps adding firewood to produce a lot of flames until the interior of the dome turns white. After 3 hours have passed, the dough has fermented, and since it's soft, it has stuck to the dough trough. Conce knows that's not bad, as she has been making bread for the family for almost all her life. With the last portion of dough, Conce is going to prepare a stuffed Easter ring with homemade ingredients, traditionally eaten as a reward after the days of Lenten abstinence.
Homemade, all homemade. The pigs haven't eaten anything artificial. Everything. Cabbage, potatoes, spiced up here. Everything. And chorizo, loin, and streaky bacon. Lard or streaky cheese, look.
The oven has reached the ideal temperature for baking bread. Victor cleans the sole with a brush made of broomsticks and Conce later wipes it with some damp cloths. On the peel, sprinkled with flour, Conce places the dough and adds a drizzle of oil on top. All that's left is to wait and control the heat, which will be very quick since the thin ones require little cooking time due to their small size. Without stopping their activity, this couple puts the bread in the oven, cutting a circle on the top surface with a knife. The process is identical to that of baking the thin loaves, only the loaves will need more oven time. After a few minutes, the loaves are baked and need to be taken out of the oven. By the sound, Conce knows if the bread is done.
Perfect, this one's perfect. To put it like this is the prettiest.
As long as the Pola River keeps providing water to turn the millstones and irrigate their gardens, this couple will stay here in this old mill where Victor's grandfather worked as a servant. Today, although their children live in the city, they are interested in preserving and maintaining the centuries-old mill of Arquera, where an entire family history has unfolded, which is theirs.